Oh, Lord, I still think about that. I apologize. Golly. I'll tell you the other thing. I thought Joe Fiordaliso, who was sitting in the chair before you got. I thought Joe had something wrong with his leg and he needed to sit. Assume your positions here. Take your mark. Take your mark. They say in Hollywood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to the Statewide Traffic Management Center, which I've taken to call the Storm Management Center. I think, Pat, I said yesterday. I'm joined by our host today, the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti. Diane and I were together for an exciting announcement in Camden yesterday, and as Diane noted explicitly for the record, the sun was out. That is not the case today. Also honored to be joined by the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan, the President of the Board of Utilities, Joe Fiordaliso, and the Director of the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, Jared Maples. Mother Nature is making up for lost time this month. I think we can all agree with that. We expect this storm to be an all-state affair. All counties are currently under either a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory. The impacts into tomorrow, a little bit of a not dispute, but the range of when this peters out, midday to early evening tomorrow. The impacts will range from a wintry mix and rain largely in South Jersey to snow and a wintry mix across central Jersey to all snow as you move up through most of North Jersey. Snow totals are forecasted to be 1 to 4 inches in South Jersey with icy conditions, 4 to 8 inches across central Jersey with potential accumulations of ice, and similar snow totals, if not a little bit more, in North Jersey. The expected heavy rate of precipitation will make travel treacherous in many areas, and we encourage everyone to stay in and to not go out. I know Diane will underscore this point, but particularly at rush hour this morning, as we speak, and this evening. In advance of the storm last night, I declared all state offices will be closed today. Essential personnel, including those who are fighting the storm with us, and we thank each and every one of them, are to report for duty. Those who have been working remotely should do so again today. The vaccine megasites in Burlington, Middlesex, and Morris counties are each closed today. Those with appointments were contacted directly to reschedule. Appointments in Burlington County have been rescheduled for tomorrow, and those in Middlesex and Morris for this Saturday. The Bergen County megasite will be closing, I believe, Pat, at 10 a.m. this morning, and the folks there are in the process of contacting and rescheduling those who will be impacted. The sites, as we stand here in Atlantic and Gloucester counties, are currently scheduled to remain open. We know there's rain in Atlantic, and I know Gloucester, Pat, you said is still under consideration as to what the full day looks like, but at least as I stand here, both Atlantic and Gloucester are open. Our vaccination call center will remain operational to answer questions and provide guidance. That number again is 855-568-0545, 855-568-0545. We continue to fail to find an acronym with letters of the alphabet to capture that number which rolls off your tongue. One more note on vaccines. Because of the nationwide weather situation, less because of what's going on in New Jersey right now, we know there are going to be supply chain issues, and we are working with a conservative expectation that our anticipated deliveries will not arrive as scheduled. In this event, we're making preparations to use existing inventory to satisfy current appointments. However, not all sites may be able to do this, and this may result in many appointments needing to be rescheduled. We have communicated regularly with our vaccination sites throughout the week. We'll continue to do so. I might add that we continue to communicate regularly with our federal partners and the manufacturers themselves. To be clear, everyone who wishes to be vaccinated will be, but with the current national situation, we must be prepared. The Department of Transportation, under Diane's leadership, has mobilized its resources to keep our highways clear. If you are out for whatever reason and see a road crew, and this goes regardless of whether it's a DOT, an authority, a county, or a local crew. Please let them safely pass to clear the road ahead of you. And please do not pass yourself a working crew. This morning, a commercial travel restriction went into effect along our interstate highways from I-195 in central Jersey north for tractor trailers, empty, straight CDL-weighted trucks, motorcycles, recreational vehicles, and that includes boats, and any passenger vehicles towing trailers. This restriction does not apply to the Turnpike, the Parkway, or the Atlantic City Expressway. The DOT also has towing equipment pre-positioned, as we normally do, in the usual trouble spots along I-280 in Essex County and I-78 through the western part of the state. As always, we are incredibly grateful for the efforts of our road crews and appreciate all they have done in preparation for this storm and for being out there today. Again, unless there's a reason for you to be out on the roads, do not go out. Just stay in, stay safe, stay warm. Please let the crews do their jobs undeterred and undistracted. However, if you do go out, please be sure to have an emergency preparedness kit in your car, including a warm blanket, a phone charger, water, snacks, etc. You can find a checklist, by the way, at ready.nj.gov, ready.nj.gov. In a moment, Diane will give us greater detail on the DOT's preparations for current road conditions. I think your fastest resources will be to find the NJ DOT on Facebook, on Twitter at New Jersey DOT, and 511nj.org, 511nj.org. As I stand here again, all of this is subject to, obviously, the weather and change. NJ Transit rail and bus service is currently running as best they can on regular schedules. I encourage you on that, very much so, to visit njtransit.com or on Facebook and Twitter at njtransit if you do need to head out. As with any winter storm, especially one that comes with a mix of ice and snow, the potential for power outages is there. And I say potential, I think Joe will tell us in a minute. At the moment, I'm knocking on wood, Joe, there's very few outages, but that's obviously with a storm like this, that could change in a heartbeat. Should you lose power, we say this every time, but please remember, please call it in to your service provider. Don't assume that your neighbors have already done so. Very simply, the more calls that service providers receive regarding a power outage, the better they can prioritize crews and speed up restorations. And if you come across a downed line, don't go near it. Please keep a safe distance away and call it in immediately. Don't even try to get remotely close to it. I'll ask Joe to give us an update on the preparations undertaken by our service providers. We do have warming centers open statewide, so if you or anyone you know is in need of a warm place to stay because of a loss of power or heat, please call 211 or visit nj211.org to find a center near you. Storm updates, as well as preparedness information, are all available online. And again, I think this is my favorite address to go because it encompasses everything, ready.nj.gov, or at the Office of Emergency Management's Facebook page and on Twitter, at ReadyNJ, at ReadyNJ. Information from a variety of official channels is also being retweeted on the State of New Jersey Twitter, at NJGov, at NJGov. Again, today is a good day to stay warm indoors and let the professionals tend to their jobs. Eventually, all this snow will melt. And with that, it is my honor to introduce our host, the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti.
Good morning, everyone. So as the governor said, we are in the beginning hours of this snowstorm. Earlier this morning, we started to see snowfall. The ride up here from the Trenton area was good, but teams are going to be working throughout the day and the evening into tomorrow morning to address continued precipitation. We are seeing snow. We will see some ice and freezing rain. That is one of the reasons that we have put the travel restrictions in place for our commercial vehicles. I had someone ask me a question this morning about why aren't we enforcing it. We are enforcing it. We enforce it through our partners at the New Jersey State Police, but the better alternative is to just adhere to the restrictions. There still are going to be trucks on the road because we are moving, as the governor said, important material, whether it be vaccines, whether it be medical supplies, whether it be food. It is not an entire ban on trucks. But the other important part of that is please to mind speed restrictions. So on my way up here, I counted 4 that I was paying attention to, vehicles, single vehicles, who spun out into the guide rail. It's speed related. I appreciate that people have all-wheel drive, but speed is the issue. And I really want to emphasize that we are going to be working all day to keep up with the snowfall and keep these roads as clean as we can. There can be patches of ice. Please, please, please monitor your speed. If you've got to be someplace at a certain time, then you've got to leave early. It's just important to me that everybody get home every night, and that is the best way to do it. As of 5 a.m. this morning, the DOT and our transportation partners throughout New Jersey had over 3,000 pieces of equipment out. As the governor said, the restriction is in place. It also does not apply to I-76, I-676, 295 south of exit 60 on I-195. But that could change if the weather gets bad. So we just need everyone, as the governor said, ready.nj.gov for the most up-to-date information, or OEM, the OEM Facebook page, which is updated very frequently. We do have towing assets out there. We have about 63 pre-positioned towing assets, obviously at our hot spots up north, 78, 287, 280, 80. You've heard this all before. The goal is to have any overturn or any accident cleared quickly so we can let our plow teams through and we can keep traffic moving. As for transit, again, they are trying to operate their regular schedule, but it will be on a recurring review. So if you need to go out and use transit, please go to njtransit.com, check schedules, check what is available, check what your bus is running, your train is running. We are trying to keep people moving. We need our frontline workers, our essential employees, to get to their locations. And so we are going to do our best to make sure that we're available to them. Big shout out, as always, to our maintenance crews, our plow teams, our contractors. They're exhausted. I have to be very honest with you. They have been doing this now for 3 weeks of on and off storms. And what you don't see is after we clear the roads and after everybody's going back, they're back in their yards preparing for the next storm. So they're not getting a lot of downtime. So it's very important you give them room, let them do their work. They are doing the very best they can, and they deserve, just like our frontline workers do, they deserve a lot of credit for continuing to come back. We've had questions about salt supply. Let's just address that up front. We have plenty of salt. We are working with our salt suppliers, both at the state, county, and municipal level, to make sure everyone has what they need. But we have had event after event after event. So we need to be able to get to the ports. They need to be able to deliver. So we are working very closely, very collaboratively to make sure everyone has the supply. There is no issue with the availability of salt for the state of New Jersey. We are doing everything we can. You staying home, our New Jerseyans, that don't need to be out today, they shouldn't. I was mentioning, I think we always laugh about you got to run out and get bread and milk. Well, these storms are happening so frequently, it's really just your regular food shopping trip at this point, right? So it's not a 2 or 3 week in between. Hopefully you can stay home by tomorrow afternoon. The roads will be better, not like years ago where you might have been home for 3 or 4 days. So watch a good movie. Frozen is always a good choice. At the end of the day, just be safe, right? The whole idea is everybody's home every night, all of our workers, all of our residents, all of our New Jersey State Police, all of those who support the efforts to keep New Jersey safe and operating. And with that, thanks, Gov.
Thank you, Diane. Well done. Thank you, Diane. And I want to underscore, I could underscore a lot of the points you made, but the particular one is hats off to the crews and the women and men who are out there. And by the way, that goes for everybody up here, the troopers, the local law enforcement, county folks, DOT, the BPU, the electric service providers. Everybody's been laying it out one storm after another. And we're in this sort of groove at the moment, not happily, but we're going to get through this together. I'm not sure you said it, but we also want to remind everybody, and by the way, if that weren't enough, observing all the appropriate pandemic protocols at every step of the way, as I know you all have been vigilant about that. So Diane, thank you for all of the above. With that, please help me welcome the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan. Pat?
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everybody. I'll just echo some of the remarks before. I know when Diane mentioned Frozen, I was channeling Let It Go and Do You Want to Make a Snowman? So thank you, Commissioner. As of 8:30 this morning, we had troopers handle 92 motor vehicle accidents and 55 motorist aids. The State Emergency Operations Center opened at 6 o'clock this morning and will remain open through the storm. Our federal, state, county, and local partners have been in constant communication. DOT, really our primary partner in this, but certainly BPU, DEP, and Department of Health, phenomenal partners as well. The governor spoke with regards to the mega sites, those that remain open. DOT has what we call strike teams ready to make sure the routes in and around those mega sites are open. I think it's rain in Atlantic City, and we'll see what Gloucester's mega site does. But those regular, constant communication with those partners is key. DOT, as I said, and I'll give also a thank you to the National Weather Service. No matter what time of day or night we ask both Mount Holly and Upton to get on, they have somebody to get on to give us the latest forecast so we can make those determinations with regards to sites, with regards to state offices. So a special thank you to those from the National Weather Service that, in my estimation, do a phenomenal job. We do have that incline readiness package ready to go with DOT in the event that we need those high elevation and those mountains, as we know. Jugtown Mountain comes to mind, and 280. And we also have our New Jersey Task Force 1 crew ready to go with snowmobiles, with high wheeled vehicles for any flooding, which I don't think flooding is an impact that we're expecting with this storm. So as always, we're prepared, and we look forward to getting to the sunny side of this storm, hopefully by tomorrow afternoon. Thanks, Gov.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You know, one point on the vaccination mega sites, which you referred to, Pat. People ask us, I know they asked Diane this as well, can't you just plow out the parking lot and the site and the egress? The answer is that's the easy part. The problem is, and the challenge is, we don't want you on the road right now going to get that appointment, particularly if we know with confidence that it could be rescheduled in a matter of days. So it's a little of both, but it's a lot more the latter than the former. So, Pat, thank you for that. Please help me welcome, you know, critical infrastructure here is something we do not take for granted. And look at the tragedy right now unfolding in places like Texas. And you know, we wish them nothing but speedy resolution and safety. But you can't take that critical infrastructure. It's a great lesson that you can't take it for granted, whether it's the grid, whether it's the point of attack, delivering power on that last, you know, from the curb to your home, whatever it might be. The power reality is one that you would want us to, and we rightfully obsess with and can never take for granted. We've had some storms, Joe, since our time together, where there were several 100,000 outages at peaks of storms. I'm knocking on wood because we haven't had that this winter, but we don't take any of that for granted, and obviously we try to get out ahead of this with our electric service providers in coordination with them as best we can. So with that, please help me welcome the guy who keeps an eye on all of the above, the President of the Board of Public Utilities, Joe Fioraliso. Joe?
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. And if I could just add regarding the Texas situation, it's not the renewable energy that has caused this problem. I believe personally that there possibly were some policy decisions made that should not have been made, and you know, Texas is on its own grid, so I'll leave it at that. With this particular storm and with the weather going across the United States as it is, I'm not sure there's any part of the country that's being spared, except maybe southern part of Florida. Everyone else is encountering some type of weather event. So it's very, very difficult to get outside crews lined up because they have to take care of their home turf first. But our utilities are prepared, and wherever there are available outside crews, if necessary, they will be brought into the state of New Jersey. As the governor indicated, outages right now, not a problem. And that's cardboard, but that's going to have to take the place of wood. So we're hoping that stays the case, obviously. We did dodge a storm earlier this week as far as that ice storm that was predicted. Ice is obviously major problem if that ice sits on those wires long enough, it's going to have an effect. Everyone is, which is I'm sure appreciated by everyone, the work that all of the workers do. And those utility workers deserve it as much as the governor mentioned. And it really is. They're out there fixing, whether it's snowing, raining. As long as that wind is not over 40 miles an hour, they are out there working, trying to restore power as quickly as they possibly can. And we constantly work on enhancing our infrastructure, because that is the key, which could be the problem in Texas as far as the infrastructure is concerned. So, again, just to repeat some of the things the governor has mentioned, don't go by any downed wires. You don't want to be near them. Let your utility know if you do lose power. It's very important because they don't know that you lost power at this point. And we're working very hard at the BPU in researching, quote, smart meters, so that they would know in the future if you lose your power. So it's another exciting innovation that eventually will come to New Jersey. So stay safe, charge your devices while you can, make sure your computer's charged up, your cell phone is charged up, and any other device that you depend on. And let's hope that the number of outages stay where they are now at a minimal level. And with that, Governor, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Again, we keep our brothers and sisters in Texas in our prayers. And Joe, you knocked on this and it was cardboard, not like the good old days when you were battling storms. You could knock on something that was marble back in your time with President Taft. So we'll constantly work to get our systems upgraded. Again, the big point here is if you lose your power, call it in. Don't assume someone else has. And if you see a down line, don't go near it. Those are always universal pieces of advice. I mentioned critical infrastructure a minute ago, in particular as it relates to obviously the grid and the electric service providers, but there's a broader definition of that. And please help me welcome a guy who keeps a close eye on that, the Director of the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, Jared Maples. Jared?
Thank you, Governor. And I'll stick away from any Frozen references and certainly refrain from singing, so you can all be assured of that. From a critical infrastructure perspective, we have remained in constant contact, as we always do, with our critical infrastructure partners across all 17 sectors, and at this time there are no reported significant issues. We're going to keep our private sector desk open at the State Emergency Operations Center through the duration of the storm until the activation concludes. From a threat perspective, there are no known specific or credible threats at this time, but it is worth noting that there are overarching threats specific to this storm, specific to what we're dealing with in the cyberspaces, and making sure you're aware that there are fraudulent actors, or nefarious actors trying to take advantage of things like storms, of all the other issues that are happening out there right now. So think before you click. Make sure you're aware of cybersecurity practices as you're sitting at home, hopefully under a blanket watching TV today or Frozen or whatever it may be. Make sure you're aware of those cyber practices and that people are actively trying to commit fraud or commit a crime or go after you in any type of specific way. We have all the resources available at our website at njohsp.gov that can assist you in that effort. Also, there's an overarching threat with misinformation and disinformation right now. We just released we had a public release last week of an intelligence report that talked about that, specific to vaccinations. But it is prevalent, and please do think critically when you're reading online material, when you're seeing things that are blasted out. It has never been more important than right now to read and only get your information from the right relevant resources, like the official government accounts or the media. In general, and making sure you have the right information to protect your families and your loved ones at home. And I'll finish and say something that I said the last storm, because I do think it's important. Despite all the turmoil, despite all the issues that are happening in our country right now, there's never a better time, a more important time as Americans and specifically as New Jerseyans here to come together. So shovel out your neighbors, shovel out the hydrants, make sure you take care of your neighbors and your community and your family members. Look out for them. I implore you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Well done. Yeah, that last piece of advice is great universal advice as well. Let's look out for each other as millions, by the millions folks in New Jersey do. And unfortunately, on the other side of the coin, there are always a few bad actors, and that advice was also well taken. So thank you, Jared. I don't know that we've got anyone with questions. I think we're good on that. I think what we'll do is stay close, folks. ready.nj.gov is the best overarching website, and I think njtransit.com if you've got a specific question about a bus or a rail route. Stay close. This is a storm that's going to be with us for a while. I think we've said, it's implied in our remarks, but this is a long storm. It's not only statewide, but it's a long time-wise storm. This goes deep into tomorrow. So keep your wits about you. Do the right thing. Stay home if you can. And again, if you lose your power, call it in and stay safe, everybody. I want to thank Diane for hosting us. Joe, thank you, as well as always. Pat, Jared, to the whole team here at the state's Traffic Management Center. Thank you all.